All right, we are back. Today, we have one of the top real estate agents in the city of Nashville and probably in the state of Tennessee. Today with us.
I love you.
We have Kelly Ladwig here, and Kelly is actually she lives close to us. Yeah. She has been inside her home a few times for real estate reasons.
And she's probably one of the most humble people you'll ever meet if you meet her in person. Also one of the most brightest people you'll meet. We're super happy to have you with us.
And very confident, let me add that. Yeah. Very humble, but confident at the same time. I really love, so Kelly has a beautiful social media. I'll let Kelly introduce herself, but I was going to say a little bit. Like, I love watching you on stories because you follow some real estate agents and they're boring. Like, well, that sounds harsh actually. They only talk about real estate and you're like, this is not interesting. But the way you talk about real estate, I really just want to follow along and engage. I bet you have good engagement and that's why your following is so huge on social media. But let's talk about you. Tell us a little bit more about you.
Yeah, so I've lived in Nashville about 16 years.
Okay.
I'm from Wisconsin originally, so Midwest girl. Always loved houses, always, while other kids were out playing with Barbies and stuff, I was like building houses out of rocks and stuff in the dirt. And always really liked that. My parents took us to open houses every weekend. We built a couple of times growing up, so I think that's where my love came for it.
You built, like your family built homes?
Yeah. Oh. Well, no, they didn't personally, but we had homes built for
right.
us. So we moved, right? But I got to go to selection meetings and things like that. And then I went to college and didn't do anything home related. I was a journalism major.
That was actually, I read that about you and I was like, I didn't even know that. Can you share a little bit about it?
So like I totally wanted to be like on Good Morning America growing up. I remember being probably about sixth grade and waking up in the middle of the night, I think for the royal wedding. And it was like 2 a.m. and I got up all by myself and watched this news event. And I was just kind of hooked because I like to call myself curious and not nosy. But I like finding things out and I love finding things out before anybody. So, and I loved to write and I think journalism was just a super interesting thing for me. So I went to college at the University of Wisconsin, go Badgers.
Yeah.
And majored in journalism, worked at a TV station while I was there.
It's amazing.
Wow.
Yeah, took a break.
What did you do at the TV station?
I was basically anything they asked me to do. Get coffee, I got it. Roll cable. Yeah, and then just started, doing whatever they asked me to do, and then started reporting and writing. And
you started reporting
while I was still in college, so I was really fortunate. Yeah.
That's why you're really good at social media. That makes sense.
I think, it all comes down to storytelling, right? And being interested in people. And one of my philosophies with anything I do, it's not about me. It's about the brand or my buyers or, you know what I mean? So I think if you're generally curious and you like to find out things about other people, that's really what makes a compelling story.
That's
so
cool.
Started out as a journalist and moved to Milwaukee, which was really my hometown, and got to be on air there, and that was super cool. Did that for about Wisconsin.
Okay.
Yeah, did that for about 12 years, and then I like to reinvent myself every once in a while. Went into advertising, and produced TV and radio, and then. When I moved to Nashville, I started working for a global digital ad agency. So was on the forefront of augmented reality, virtual reality, worked with the Star Wars franchise for 3 years.
Wow. That's
What year was that?
That was back in 2018.
And you stayed here after that? That was like when you moved?
Yeah.
Okay, so you moved right before COVID.
Well, no, I moved here in 2008.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So I've been here 16 years.
A while. But
That's
so
amazing.
your real estate business, I guess, wasn't that long ago?
No, that's called reinventing myself again.
Wow.
So the story with that, like I've always wanted to do real estate. But, you start working and you have benefits and a solid paycheck and,
Comfort.
Right? Comfort.
Security.
And we were getting, so for my 50th birthday, I said, I'm going to get my real estate license. And I took 2 weeks of vacation and I went to school.
Guys,
and
her 50th birthday, she started doing that. You look younger than 50. This is crazy.
And I got my license and I had it and I couldn't do anything with it, right? Because we had started talking about building a house at that point. And our financial guy is like, you cannot quit your job to do real estate.
That's
right?
true. To
You
get a
need
loan.
to be able to get the loan and
That's
everything.
true.
So March 2020, we signed the contract to build our new home. COVID happened.
Yes.
Susie shut down her dental office for 12 weeks, and I lost my job.
All right.
So
was scary.
I also had about $100,000 in debt, which
Oh my gosh.
we didn't talk about. and I was like, what do I do?
Wow.
And at that point, literally 15 minutes after I got laid off, a friend of mine who was a broker in town called me and she's like, when are you ready to do real estate? I said, right now.
During COVID.
Yeah. And I jumped in and never looked back. And it was the best thing that ever happened.
Timing is everything. I mean, everybody started moving to Nashville at that point.
The timing couldn't have been any better. And then also because what really kicked off my real estate career is we had started building, right? And I went to Instagram to look for like information about how to build a house. And there's a ton of designer stuff and things like that, but nothing about building. So I just started creating content, right? Like, hey, this is what a footer is to, and then talking with people, right? Because again, it's not about me. It's about who's this guy that's doing the trim on my house. And I started telling all of their stories.
Can I also say that back around that time, because we came and we kind of considered Nashville, but there wasn't much, like you're saying, there's some information out there, but there wasn't as much like information about the Nashville homes or the styles. There is a lot of Texas, I found, but not much like Nashville. So
I had also the hardest time finding anybody. Like we came in July 2020 and then 2 months later we decided we're moving to Nashville. So I had the hardest time finding a real estate agent. Nobody was on social media back then. Like, I don't know. I called some, they probably feel bad that I actually want to find who I called because we bought a few homes in Nashville already.
You guys have bought quite a few.
Yeah. And I'm like, they missed out on some opportunity.
Yeah.
And like, they never called me back. That was the craziest thing. I was like, I called. We were planning to buy a house. We were planning to move. Never got a call back. And I was like, felt like everybody in Nashville was too busy. So I feel like, was it just because there was not enough real estate agents, or what do you feel like happened? What was that shift in Nashville?
I don't think people quite understood how to use social media, whether it's TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. I don't think they understood how to use it for real estate. We've seen a switch in the last couple of years, especially as more and more realtors get onto it. But when I started, nobody was doing anything, right? I mean,
That's
I
true.
just started doing house tours and stuff like that, and people liked it, and that's how I started finding all of my clients. So I was building and talking about that, and then I was touring houses, and people just started DMing me, and it was amazing what happened.
This is kind of like the shift I was telling you about that happens that's happening right now on TikTok, as a lot of people are not using Yelp for reviews. They go straight to TikTok, right? And a lot of people don't realize that they put so much time into like Yelp, while TikTok is really the place.
Yeah. I was actually going to highlight what you said about house tours. I have a friend that's trying to be a real estate agent. I was like, what have you, like, she's like, I just need clients. I was like, go do stories on Instagram of houses. All you need to do is just drive around and do a bunch of stories. And that's all. It makes you sound like an expert in the field. You may not be buying all those houses, but you have to show people how do people know that you're a real estate agent if you never show that you are?
Yep.
And it's like, I think, do you feel like that's the key, how people found you the most? Or
Absolutely. I think, now it's shifting a little bit, but I would say still about 95% of my business is from social media. People who see me online, who've gotten to know me. And that's the great thing. They get to know me because I am who I am. You know, I kind of talk about not just real estate, but my life and, the Furry 5 and everything like that. And so when people call me and say, hey, I'm ready to do something, they know who I am already. Which is super easy because they know who I am, right? I don't have to pretend. I don't have to.
That step is done.
Yeah. So, and I think the other thing too, when you look at like, if you're starting out, doing house tours, doing things like that, it educates you. Like you can't, you have so many people who jump in and say, hey, I want to do luxury real estate. Selling a luxury home is more than about getting into a $5 million home. It's understanding, here's the materials that go into it. Here's the difference between marble and quartz. Here's the difference between, you know, a dovetailed corner on a cabinet. It's truly, at least for me, my point of differentiation, I feel, is I understand the build process and I understand what goes into some of these homes, what's luxury, what's not luxury.
Yeah.
And I think there's some of that missing right now.
I'm curious to know what makes Nashville special. So a lot of people are considering to move. Right? That was us, 4 or 5 years ago. And we looked at many places. What do you think makes Nashville unique from all other places?
I think there's a lot of things, but I think it comes down to the people and the relationships and the way Nashville makes people feel, right? It's a really aspirational place. It's kind of a place of dreams, I think, you know, and I think you move here or you come visit for the first time and you get to experience the music and you get to experience the food, and then someone calls you honey and you hear y'all. And
Aren't people here the nicest though?
yeah, I think there is something to be said for Southern hospitality. And I think people come here and experience a sense of community that you don't find all over the country. And I think that's really what starts to draw people in.
Yeah.
And then I think you look at the fact that there is such a sense of community because so many people have moved here over the last several years that without family, right? So your base of mom, dad, aunts, uncles is gone, but your neighborhoods kind of start to fill that place.
Right, yeah.
And I think, you know, back in 2020, you know, some people were the first, you know, pioneers out here moving here, and now the word's gotten out, right? So I think it's an accepting place. I think we let people live the way they want to live here. You know, I think
It probably is also very different because we haven't explored it yet, but there's a lot of
Explored it 4 years later, still have not explored it yet.
I feel
There's
like
so much
every
to see.
corner of Nashville is so different.
Yep.
We should technically spend a lot
the
more
East
time.
Nashville.
Yeah, the East, the West, the Bellevue area, the Hendersonville. I feel like we haven't explored all of it. And everywhere you go, you see like different communities of people. Like, all right, these are college students. These are families.
And it's all within an hour of a drive time.
Yeah.
It's like you get the countryside, and then like we literally live right across the dairy farm.
Yeah, the cow farm.
So we live literally out of nowhere. And then you have downtown 35 minutes away.
Yep.
It's incredible. And our airport is 30 minutes away. Yeah. And when we came, actually, I have a story. When we came to see our neighborhood, I made him turn around. We got to the gate and I was like, and we came through the downtown area, and it's like, you guys, we live in the smallest town, and I was like, there's no way I'm gonna live here. There's cows across the street. We have to turn around and live. I made him turn around. He turned around and we drove back, and then the next day I was like, maybe we should give that place a try. So we bought the land in the neighborhood the next day.
Wow.
After I made him turn around.
And now,
like,
we love the cows. We love the farm.
Well, I was traumatized because like we had 2 dairy cows in Ukraine. Yeah. So it's like, I live in America. I do not want to live right next to the cows again. Like, this is like, why are we going back to this like life that I tried to like, it didn't feel like I was living in America anymore, but I love this America. Like the way they celebrate America in the South and 4th of July is the best.
It's America,
yeah,
right?
It's America.
It's very different. And I think that especially the Southern culture and the Southern part of this country, there is just a strong love for this country.
Yes.
So I think that's probably what a lot of people experience when they come here. Yeah. But yeah, people enjoy a quieter life. And I have to talk with people about that are moving here. You know, you are going to take a breath. Not everything, you aren't going to be running all the time. You might spend more time in your car, but it's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
So
are people still moving? I know a lot of people moved during COVID because like, hey, I'm at home, I'm bored, let's explore. Are people moving here just, now?
It's slowed down a little bit, right? Yeah, but we're still at about 86 people a day move to Nashville.
86 people a day.
So it's still quite a bit. And
what
I think
states?
Still mostly California.
Oh, really?
We're starting to see more Florida, which is interesting to me. Oh. We still have people from the Pacific Northwest, like you guys, Illinois. New York, we're starting to see a little switch out, and they're moving down to Florida a little bit more. But
So the Florida's coming here, and they're
Yeah,
moving
They're
to
making a
Florida.
circle.
Yep,
all
they are.
fancy.
I see.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the insurance prices went up, so they're coming here, and the New Yorkers are like, that's not much for me. I'll take it.
Okay, question for you: why do people move from from Florida here? That always makes me wonder. You
I
had
think
clients.
sometimes, yeah, I've got quite a few. After the last round of hurricanes, I had 3 families move up here. Their homes were destroyed.
Oh, I see.
They wanted to still stay warm, but they wanted to get away from Florida. But lots of people have family close, right? So even if they don't have family in Nashville, they have family within an hour flight.
Yeah.
So it was a little more centrally located. I've got a family right now that is moving here. They have one daughter who's going to be going to law school in Knoxville. They have a son in North Carolina, and they have another daughter in Colorado. So this was a very central place for them
It
to
is
go.
central
And that's what we
place,
hear. And then you
yes.
look at you guys take full advantage of the airport, right?
Yeah.
You can
Right.
fly to Europe. You can fly to Ireland. You
I just
can,
love how close New York is.
Yeah.
Just an hour
I
and a
think
half
everything's
away.
close for us.
Yeah.
We're literally, West Coast.
The only thing we're
Pacific-
missing is Hawaii. That's all.
Hawaii, yeah, takes a while. But like going to Seattle is 4 hours. That's a long flight. But besides that, everything's like within an hour. Everything's
Yeah, and
so
I think
close.
people are understanding that. And then you've got the financial situation, right, where you don't have the state income tax. And that's a huge deal for anybody in business.
Yeah.
That's
Especially
true.
people who own businesses, because the tax benefits of that are really big.
I think that and the tax of a house. It's just
Yeah.
it's huge. I mean, the difference is magnificent, I think. Too.
Okay, do people still move for family, like for kids, for... I'm going to talk about politics a little bit. Yeah. For political reasons. I'm curious. You're giving me a look.
I don't
I'm
know.
just
I
curious.
don't-
if
You know
people
what?
are
And I
moving
think-
from California for that reason.
I think we can talk about that, because I think that is a huge driving force. I hear all the time, I want to be around like-minded people.
Yeah.
Okay, so whether you lean right or you lean left, people
Yeah.
want to be with people they feel comfortable with. I think, again, we go back to COVID, and at some point we're going to stop. COVID's going to be, 10 years ago. But I think during that time, a lot of states really told you what you could and couldn't do. And then they got here, and, kids were still playing baseball, and restaurants were open, and we were all living our lives. And I think that really impacted people. And I think that's continued. I do think that we are seeing some of the politics of our area influenced a little bit by
Yeah.
some of the people that have moved here during those
Yeah.
times. Tennessee's a red state, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I see us more red than we have been.
Okay.
But people move here because they can kind of do what they want to do.
I guess that's an interesting point you said, because people are being told what to do or not to do, and they don't want to be told.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
People do move here for politics, right? They
Yeah.
parents
not
are
everybody, probably.
Not everybody.
I mean, we moved here. Honestly, we moved here for people.
We did move for the environment. Like the first thing that you mentioned about the environment, that was our thing. That was our experience. Tim Siama lived in Knoxville,
Yeah.
so we experienced it so many times. Every time we came here, we're like, the people in the South, they just feel like everybody's a bestie. Like everybody's your best friend everywhere you go, and they're so nice. But here's the thing. The people that move for politics, nobody talks about politics here.
Right.
That is the interesting part. You go to like West Coast states, people talk about it so much. It's like so loud.
A little bit now.
Here, maybe the people that you talk to. Yeah. But I just feel like people are quieter here about it. Like people everybody does their own thing.
Want to be left.
Yeah.
I do think people want to be left alone,
Yeah.
right? And not in a bad way, but
Yeah.
if you feel a certain way, you want to be able to live like that. And I do think that we can all have varying things we believe,
Yeah.
That's true.
and
yeah.
coexist, right?
Yes.
And respect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it really, like coming from Russia, I actually really love to see the fact that, we have one country that has different beliefs, different, political spectrums. To me personally, it makes me happy, even when I see a person that, I don't agree with, or they don't agree with me. I'm just happy we have so many views, because I changed my views, and, it's good to be able to, I don't know, have that
You
in
and
all one
Jacob
country.
have different views, and you constantly argue about it. You should see that. It's like me in the car, and him and Jacob, and like Ethan and I are like, can we just move on now? Like, because I am sick of you two arguing about your beliefs and views.
I do think the people that have had the best transition here are people who fully embraced moving here. who appreciate that the South is a little slower, who appreciate that we just live differently than maybe you did in California, right?
Yeah.
The people that struggle a little more are the people who are like, oh, hey, I'm from Newport Beach and I want it exactly like Newport Beach here. You're setting yourself up for failure there. But it really impresses me when I see these clients and friends of mine that move here, they pick up their whole lives. They don't know anybody.
Yeah, that's true.
And then you
That was
see
us,
how
too.
they've become part of this and how they're enjoying their lives and the friendships they've made and the community they've built in a really short period of time. And that I've got goosebumps. That's super cool to me.
I also think that, hold on.
You're crazy. We're talking about politics.
No, it's fine. Cutting it out from here. Hold on. Let me add something else to that. I think it's easier. So this is an encouraging thing. This is why I want to touch about moving here, why people pick Nashville is because actually we had quite a few of our followers move here after we moved, which is crazy to me. Please do not move because we moved, because everybody has to make their own decision. But
if you do move here because
you can reach out to
call
Kelly. Call Kelly. Like you're gonna be in the best hands. But we had quite a few people move because of us. And people still ask me to this day, why Nashville? Why do you pick Nashville? So I wanted to have that question with you. But another beautiful thing, because there's so many people that moved here. Like we moved, we had nobody here. Literally, we had no emergency contact for our kids in school. Like it was just the two of us, nobody. Our car broke down. Actually, both of our cars broke down, popped both tires. That was the beauty of Welcome to Tennessee. And we had no car. We had to literally saw a neighbor walk on the street and we're like, can you take us to our kid's school because he got injured at school?
Right, our youngest had a medical injury. He had to be taken to ER, just bit his tongue.
Literally saw a person walking on the street. We're like, can you please take us to the school? And he did.
He took us. He
Oh,
turned
wow.
out to be,
And I went and got a rental car
he turned
during
out to
that
be
time.
from Washington State, the same state we're from. So I ended up kind of like talking to him. He was a great guy.
But that's something you can do in the South.
Yeah.
It was the beautiful part. And like, that's the cool part. But also it was quick and easy to make friends because everybody moved here. Everybody was searching for friendships. So if you are hesitant or you're worried that you're leaving everybody behind, all of my family is in Washington. Tim's family is Knoxville, 3 hours away. It's not like we can see them at any point.
Have you had relatives here when you moved?
No.
No?
I came here with nobody, right?
Yeah.
And I think it took me a little bit longer to meet some people.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've got, friends that are like family now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was like that for most of us. And in a way, it kind of like bundled everyone together because you're in it yourselves. And
and holidays, we invite the people that we met here. Like it just became like family. I love it. Like I love that there's a lot of people that were moving or still moving and it's easy to make friendships.
it was
Everybody's open-minded.
It was a
I mean,
good reset for us.
yeah.
Well, and I look at you guys. I mean, seriously, I mean, I know you, so I can call you up and talk. But I follow you guys on social media also, and I look at like the dinners you have and how inclusive you are, and just the beautiful way you've used your home and you've used your talents and stuff to bring people together. And it's super, but it's super cool to see.
I love to host. So we're going to build the next house and we made like a giant dining table that's
Just
round. So everybody can
I love
sit
a round table.
The kitchen is twice the size. Well, the dining
Not twice.
room. The dining room.
It's 12 people dining table. I don't know how I'm going to clean the center of it. Maybe I'll need a mop because it's round. Big table. We'll figure it out. But I'm really excited for that. Okay, honey. Sorry.
I just still can't believe you talk about politics. Which I love it because
I think it's important.
People watching it, that's the questions they do have. But then like it's good to be able to approach it.
You have to be honest with people. I think
it is.
a lot of people moved for
But
politics.
a lot of people are
Nashville.
hurting. So anytime you talk about it, you're going to step on some toes.
Okay, I'm going to admit something.
Yeah.
There are different routes I will take depending who people support, right? There's certain streets that you go down and there's,
That's true.
There's big Trump banners. There's other streets that don't have those. And I've learned if I'm in a car with somebody and I pick up some cues, I'm like, okay, I'm going to go down this road instead.
Oh.
I probably shouldn't admit that, but
Oh my goodness.
You can cut that out.
That is hilarious.
But it's funny.
but it's true. And you start to pick up cues, right? And it's super interesting because let's face it, we know people, I hear with everybody, like-minded. I want like-minded people. But for the most part, people don't talk about it.
People don't.
There are a few, but
I'm the one who brings it up usually. And I'm the least political person.
Let's clear the tension. Right? What surprises Transplants the most about Nashville?
I think what surprises them the most is the amount of time they're going to need to be in the car, right? Let's do a not a negative, but a surprise both directions. I think people moving here from other places are used to having town centers much more closely, right? And being able to get to a Starbucks in 5 minutes or things like that. Here, I mean, I basically tell everybody everything's 30 minutes away. How far is Whole Foods? 30 minutes, right? So it's just kind of a reference point. So I think people need to wrap their head around the fact that they're going to be in the car maybe a little bit more. On the other side, on the positive side, I think people are very surprised by how quickly they fit in. And we've talked about that, right? But you're new for about a weekend, and then somebody else new moves in, and you know, I think they're very surprised at how quickly they assimilate, how quickly they make friendships.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
And somebody actually speaking on the first part, someone was saying it's part of the reason why everything is more spread out is because we don't have as much water, like bodies of water, so we tend to spread out 4 directions because you have some, you know, like.
Unlike Seattle, where you know that, or Wisconsin, where you have the lake.
Right, we all had the lake, so we're all squeezed by the lake, especially with all the views. But here you're like spread it out 4 directions.
I think about a car. So coming from Seattle, traffic area, I think I spend similar amount of time. The only thing that why I can feel like I'm spending more time in a car, because Trader Joe's was this, like same amount of drive time. It's just further here and you're not sitting in traffic.
Correct.
So it's not necessarily more time in a car. It's just the distance is further, but the gas prices are cheaper. So
yeah.
So you're really like the amount of time for me, maybe it's from different areas where they were not in a traffic areas. That's different. But for us coming from Seattle, we spent so much time in the car because of traffic, and we would be driving the slowest distance ever. Every time I come to Seattle, I'm like, oh.
For us, this is actually closer. For us, this was closer.
So it feels like the distance is further, but it feels shorter. Like it's more pleasant.
I understand that. Yeah. I mean, you know, I've lived in almost every neighborhood in Nashville, and it took me longer to get to Whole Foods or Target from East Nashville, which is in the heart of the city, than it does where we live out in Franklin.
Yeah. It's distance, but it's no traffic. So it's like feels more pleasant.
And one thing I always do when I'm working with somebody, it's like, let's look at multiple ways to get someplace, right? So, okay, we've got the interstate, which is one option, but here are 3 back ways you can go also.
And enjoy the beauty.
Yep.
That's very different here. Yes, we have so many back roads. Are there any new upcoming neighborhoods, new trends, something big coming up here in Nashville that we should all know about?
I think what I see happening, I think, well, one, as real estate prices get more expensive, people are having to move further out, right? People move as far south, north, east, west as they can afford, right? So we're seeing commute times get longer for a lot of people.
Right.
Because living in Nashville right now, living in the heart of the city is quite costly.
Compared to 4 years ago, yes.
Yeah, living in Williamson County is way more expensive than it was. So we're starting to see cities like, we aren't starting. I mean, Murfreesboro has been growing for forever, but Rutherford County is one of the fastest growing counties.
Really?
Yeah, it's the fastest growing county in the state, but like nationwide, so many people are moving there because you still have good schools, you've got all the stores, and you've got restaurants, you've got close access to interstates, and the cost of living is a little lower.
Yeah. And Murfreesboro is beautiful.
It is.
We need to spend more time there. It is.
I'm obsessed. They got a new Trader Joe's. Did you know that?
I did.
I went to that Trader Joe's. You guys, if you have been asking me about Murfreesboro, I had people ask me, it's beautiful. I think it's close enough still to a city, and it's more affordable, and schools are great too in most of the city.
You know, that's where we're moving.
Yeah,
So
I know.
we're moving right on the border of Williamson and Rutherford County. It's Murfreesboro. The reason we decided to move is we could build for less money there.
Yeah.
And closer to everything.
We're going to be closer there to Trader Joe's than we are now living in Franklin.
Yeah. And that Trader Joe's is not as busy.
I heard they have an awesome flower selection too.
I went and I was like, why do I feel like I'm fighting over flowers every time in Franklin?
So I was at Trader Joe's in Franklin, and I was getting flowers. We were doing a shoot at our house, and they were rolling out new flowers and there was a cart. So I started picking things out of the cart and putting them in my cart. And the lady like came and stopped me next to like the chocolate covered pretzels. And she's like, no, those are mine. She had an entire cart full of flowers and I was shopping all of her stuff. So,
Oh my
She
gosh.
probably had the best flowers.
Yeah, literally go to the Trader Joe's in Murfreesboro. It's amazing. I
Yeah.
went last weekend and I was like, yay. Same distance.
yeah, it is, right? And I think you're going to see more and more develop out that way, right? So Williamson County, obviously people want to live in, Franklin, College Grove, Thompson Station, Arrington because of the school system,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But
For us, it was the school.
yeah, but things are moving further away. We're seeing Eagleville become more developed, right? We're
Yeah.
seeing Nolansville become more developed. All of Nolansville Road, which, from that downtown up to 840 is going to be developed in the next several years. So where you live here is going to change because suddenly stores are going to be very close.
Right.
Yeah.
It's already starting to change. We're getting so many new homes that
Yeah.
it's
I mean, there's still limitations in Williamson County where we're at is 5 acres per house. So I feel like it's not going to get overdeveloped, which is beautiful. I like that.
That's an important thing, right? Because we move here because we like the rolling hills. We like
Yeah.
driving past cows. We like being able
Now.
to see that. So they've really tried to put the brakes on some development. There are ways around it. We are starting to see more neighborhoods that are what I like to call live, work, play. June Lake development in Spring Hill is a great example. There's grocery stores, there's shops, there's restaurants, there's apartments, there's homes. You sacrifice a yard size,
Yeah.
but you get the convenience of everything.
Yeah. Or West Haven.
West Haven. I think one thing that I really see people craving is a neighborhood like West Haven, a neighborhood like the Grove, a neighborhood where you can have amenities and you can have all the conveniences there. And we don't have a lot of that.
Yeah, and a lot of it is if you're a transplant, you're coming here with that family. A community is a great way to meet new people.
Yep.
So
That was important for us. We did not want our own pool because it's so much maintenance, but we want a community pool so we can still enjoy it and go there and have our kids hang out. Like we have a sauna, we have the pools, and kids.
Right.
Our son right now, he's at the gym. And he's hanging out with friends. It's it's so nice. I love that part.
Yeah, yesterday. Yeah, gym, basketball, and then sauna. That's their 3 things to do here. And then we're gonna have pools, so they're
Open up soon, yeah.
Yeah, I think most neighborhoods around here do have like at least a pool, and that is, when I see people coming into town, what do they want? They want to have something like that so they can meet people.
Yeah.
Most people want their own pool too, so they can choose. But so in terms of what's new, I think we're seeing a lot of neighborhoods be developed where there is, a pool and things like that people can gather at. But I think there's a need for more neighborhoods where there are more robust communities. There's a need for more golf here. So many people want to golf, and there aren't enough neighborhoods
which
on
I don't
golf
understand.
courses.
I don't have time for it.
And yet you live in a neighborhood
Right.
with one of the most beautiful golf courses around.
I just appreciate the clean lawns.
I love the golf course for walking on Mondays because it's closed. And I'm like, I can walk the golf course. There's so much to walk here.
This neighborhood is it's extraordinary because there's just so much to do here.
I can do half a marathon. And I can do it in the neighborhood.
Let's talk a little about you. I'm curious. I mean, you have so much work. How many people do you have on your team?
I have me. I have me. I do have a woman who handles some of my paperwork.
Do you ever feel burnt out?
Always. No, not always. I think we all feel burnt out, right?
Yeah.
And I think we were talking about it a little earlier. I think we all start to feel some imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
And things like that. But I think as the longer I do this, I'm in a position where I'm allowed to be a little more picky, right? I want to have a good fit with whoever I'm working with because I'm spending a lot of time with you, right? And especially if you're building a home, I'm with you for like 2.5 years.
Yeah.
So we better all like each other to do that. But I've learned that I've really got to have some boundaries. And that's hard because when you guys understand, you work for yourselves and it's like you start getting in that, am I ever going to work again?
Yeah.
But I've learned that I serve the clients and the friends that I have much better when I have some boundaries. And the people that I work with understand that.
Oh, absolutely. They should.
Of course.
How do you recharge when you're burned out?
I like to work out, and I don't do it enough. But I'm finding that just, especially in the morning, giving myself, an hour of working out, that's when I'm most creative when I'm working out, right? It lets my mind relax, and it really kicks things off well. And the days that I do that, I just have a better day.
Do you work out in silence?
Yeah.
Or do you have music?
No.
That's me. When I walk in silence, like something about like moving.
Yeah.
Your body, like it gets like your brain to move in like a beautiful way. I love it.
I've got monkey brain anyway, so if I have music and everything, I'm like, I can't keep track. So, I like to, sometimes there'll be music on in the background, but I don't have earphones or anything in. I like to have days where I just have nothing planned. Right. And that's so hard. But
I bet
there are some days and then you see where the day takes you. And there's such freedom in being not scheduled.
Yeah.
That you can kind of listen to your body. You can listen to your heart. You can decide, okay, this is what I need today. I need to read for, an hour. I need to just scroll on my phone and do nothing. I spend a lot of time with my dogs and my wife when I'm not working. And I've learned that it's super important that I plan that time. And that's just as important. As my work.
Do you feel like you get time away from work? I mean, or do you?
It's hard.
How many days a week do you work?
7. 7, and that's really bad. Don't do that. Okay. I think 7 with exceptions, right? I will always check an email or talk to somebody on the phone, but I really have made it a point, especially the last year, of there's one day a week I don't work. I don't actively show houses. I'm trying to put my phone away at, 7 o'clock at night.
Which is hard to say no, probably, but
I think it makes you a good agent too. Like, hopefully you can figure out a balance where you're resting more, but at the same time, if you're responding quick and like on top of it, that's what makes you a great agent. Yeah.
I mean, and the people that I'm working with, I'm very clear, like I'm going to be gone for 10 days at the end of June. People that I'm working with now and bringing on, I'm very clear that I will be gone and not overly reachable. I have an amazing woman who is a great agent, and she jumps in when I'm gone. And that has taken a lot of pressure off of me because I trust her. I know she'll treat my clients the way that I treat them. So that has helped a lot.
That's awesome.
But it's just, you've got, it makes me crazy when I see agents posting on social media, I'm on vacation, but I work 24/7. We all deserve a chance to rest.
Yeah,
of course.
And we're in such a hustle culture, right?
Yeah.
I think we're seeing things change a little bit where now the new wealth is having time.
Yes.
Time to spend with your kids, time to take your kids to school. I think we're seeing things go there. But we aren't there yet.
Even creativity. It comes, like you're saying, when you are working out, where you just take time to yourself. I noticed when we burn out, our creativity also burns out.
Yeah.
I think we're less productive.
Yeah, there's a point where we become
maybe
less productive too. Yeah.
Our field is a little bit different than yours. We're not serving clients directly, but like my brain, if I am burned out, I shut down. Like I can't create anymore.
Yep.
And to have a creative mind, you have to be rested. Sometimes I'm like, walks help me, but traveling recharges me.
I was going to say, that's the other thing that I really enjoy doing that I think really helps reinvigorate me is getting someplace else and experiencing something else and realizing there's a big world outside of Nashville, Tennessee.
That's right.
But aside from real estate, you still have to feed the beast of social media, right? And when I am really overwhelmed, and you'll notice me a little quieter on social media because I just don't have
7 days a week, or do you?
I have scaled back a little bit. I used to be every single day, and stories every single day, and I'm listening to myself a little bit more. And if I don't feel I have something to say, I take a break. Right. We're getting ready to kick off some stuff, so I'll be on a lot more, but.
I think they say, so for social media, for Instagram, they say taking 24 hours off gives you the best engagement. So you know that, by the way.
Thank you.
So like if you have an important message to share, take 24 hours off and then share something that will get look at the views after that.
Is that on stories or?
Stories.
Good to know.
Yeah. So anytime you take 24 hours, and if I'm trying to promote a product and like I'm trying to do like an affiliate where everybody would see it, I'll take 24 hours off.
Okay.
That's weekends for me usually. I'll take weekends off, and Monday it's like, pooh.
That's right.
blows up.
That's why you got mad at me on one Monday. You're like, you posted before I did.
Yes. I told him, I was like, you can't post anything before me. I'm like, it's a precious time.
I get it now.
When do you guys have most of your engagement? Do you see that you have more engagement? Are your followers active at a certain time, or?
I wouldn't say there's a specific time. I think weekends gets more engagement. By Friday, it dies down. Like our traffic on our site, like because we do food, I think by Friday people are tired of cooking. Sunday picks up because people meal plan for the week. So I think our social media is kind of similar to that. So because we're in food, it might be different. Maybe for you, Sunday would be very engaging the day too, because people make decisions. They're having family dinners. They're talking to each other.
But Friday, I just noticed Friday is slow.
Fridays, people chill. They're deprived of making decisions.
I would notice Fridays and Saturdays are a little slower.
Yeah.
For me, most of the people that I engage with, they have been very used to me posting between like 6 a.m. and 8 a.m. Central Time, and they expect that. If I post later, I notice my engagement's down.
Wow.
Right?
Oh, interesting.
So I think I think it's, you never know. And things are so different now, right? Like, so you'll post something and get not much traction, and then a couple days later, all of a sudden it ramps up. So who knows?
I think I don't ever pay attention to times. I'm just kind of going with the flow. I'm like, there's too many algorithms to follow. We're on TikTok, we're on YouTube, we're everywhere.
You guys are a lot of places.
But yeah, it's too much.
Earlier you mentioned reading. Are there any books or podcasts that inspire you that you can recommend maybe?
I'm not a big podcast person.
Oh,
and
okay.
I think it's because I like to be in silence, right?
Yeah.
But I want to be a podcast person. We were talking, I'm big into Mel Robbins right now. I think like most people are. I find her fascinating. I find her story really fascinating, where she came from, that she started later in life, that she came from a situation that was actually very dire, and she had a hard time getting out of bed every day. So things like that are super inspiring to me. I read a lot of business books. I like reading trash, right? I like reading beach books just to relax. But in terms of like where I'm inspired and stuff like that, I have found that I like surrounding myself with other creative people. I like surrounding myself with other realtors in other parts of the country. I've got a really great group of women, a mastermind group that I'm with, and they inspire and encourage me all the time.
That's awesome.
I've got a handful of people here in town that we call ourselves the moral support group. And we do a lot of that. But I totally, if you guys have some good podcast recommendations, I would love.
I think both of those work. I don't know what we would do without our, I'd say, mastermind groups. They are very inspiring. Would you say it's important for someone who is, in whatever industry to be surrounded by the right people in their industry?
In real estate, at least, there's a lot of jargon about being in the right rooms, being at the right table. And it's surrounding yourself with people who continue to challenge and push you. Real estate is incredibly lonely. It can be competitive. You're on your own working most of the time. And I think it's really easy to get burnt out when you don't have the support of other people.
How do you get into? Oh, sorry.
Right.
So, like for somebody that's looking for mastermind, because I'm part of 2 mastermind groups, and people often say, "How do you get into one?" How would you recommend other people in real estate to get into a mastermind group?
She doesn't want to let other people know.
No, I'm totally
No, like it can be any mastermind.
No, because
It doesn't
I
have to
think
be hers.
I think it's really important to operate from a place of abundance, right? Like me sharing information with you doesn't dim my candle. Right?
It
I can help light your candle.
That's true.
But I think find other people you admire, find other people who have what you want, and don't be afraid to reach out to people. I was with a different real estate brokerage, and the women there all were starting small groups and things like that. And I was just like, hey, can I, sit in and listen to this? And that just opened up all kinds of doors for me. So you can't be timid about it. You have to, nobody's going to come and like say, here, let me bring you along. You've got to be aggressively looking for opportunities. But I think you can find your people. It just takes a little bit of work.
Before this podcast, we slightly touched the subject of imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Like for me, sometimes looking at analytics, is disappointing, right? Because seeing yourself work, there's some areas where I feel like we work 5 times as hard and get less results than other people.
I think you're talking about comparison.
Comparing
Well,
yourself to
I
other
think it's
people.
kind of goes hand in hand, right? I find that my imposter my imposter syndrome kicks in when I'm comparing. When I start comparing, it steals my joy, right?
Yeah.
It steals my confidence. I will be. I made a switch to Zeitlin Sotheby's last year, and one of the big reasons they have no leaderboard. They don't post who sold the most every month. They don't
Like
post,
a different agency.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Oh, yes. Okay.
And one of the reasons why I chose that was they don't post that, right?
Yeah.
So, and for me, because I'm so competitive, I was always like, oh, I don't have that. And then
Yeah.
it was making me feel bad, and it was taking away from the joy, right? And I think when you start comparing, it takes away your joy. I think the imposter syndrome sucks that away from you.
Right.
And I think for people that are super motivated and want to be successful and are self-starters like the two of you are, you're always wondering, am I doing enough?
Yeah.
Is there more I could be doing?
Yeah.
And I think, especially as I get older, I'm realizing it's okay to be where I'm at.
Yeah.
It's okay. Maybe there's people that are smarter than me, that work harder than me, that are way more successful than I am, but I'm doing okay.
You're definitely doing okay.
Yeah, but I mean,
yeah.
I think anybody who's achieved any kind of success has some imposter syndrome.
Well, and the thing is, anytime you take a step up, you meet other people that are even more successful, and all of a sudden you feel even more behind. And yeah,
I think what helps me is looking back. Yeah. Looking back is like healing. Because even if we look back, I mean, we've been married for 20 years, but like when we look back where we started and where we are, like, I think the biggest blessing for me is the fact that we're immigrants. There's a lot to see comparison. And our parents were the ones that made a big step. They're the ones that moved, but then like all this opportunity. So I'm like, I know for you, it's like, it's harder. And like, you're like, oh, we could be there. We could do more. And I'm like, how much more do we need?
Well, and that's a big thing. Like, because I look from my perspective, I look at the two of you, and I'm like, the two of you are so inspirational with what you've achieved and what you're continuing to do. And it's like, and I'm like, I saw some houses. I think I'm hitting things from a little bit of a different perspective because I'm older than you guys are, right? And suddenly I'm looking at, what do I want my last handful of years to be like, right? How do I want to enjoy my time? How do I want to go out? And I've got a lot of friends that are quite a bit younger, and I see them at a very different point in their career where they're like, I'm going to build this, I'm going to do this. And I don't feel the need to do that right now. I think there's some things I need to build and some systems I need to get into place to really be able to enjoy my work the next little bit.
That's cool that you can say that.
It took a long time.
I think you're saying that, but you're such a hustler still. Like, I just want to make sure that people know this, because I feel like you're saying this, you're downplaying what you're doing, but like, you're a hustler. And like, I think if you have this balance, that's amazing. But like, you are out there. If I compare you to shouldn't be comparing, but if I compare you to the agents I know that are in real estate and they're full-time in real estate, I think you're more out there than anybody else. And I think you do it really well. So if you want to be good at real estate, wherever you are, follow Kelly, because she literally will share the handle, even down below, whatever, at the end we'll share too. But just like, you do it well. Like, you do it in a way where you're all in. That's the way it shows up. And I think you are all in.
I am all in, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I started real estate because I had no choice other than to be all in, right?
Yeah.
I had no job, had a house that we were building. And I mean, I had to make it work. Yeah. And I do think it's something that I love and I'm passionate about. And I'm going to get all emotional, but I take so much joy and have so much pride in helping people find their home.
Yeah.
Right. And, seeing somebody take an idea on paper and bring that to life out of dirt is just, and to be able to be a small part of that is such a, such a blessing.
It's somebody's life.
I love when people have kids with them too, because I try to, we bring kids along and I try to make it an important experience for them because I know how I was when I was little.
Yeah.
I had some clients in town and I had markers with me because we were framing their house and I had them write their name on the floor in front of the door and things like that. And when we're looking at houses, okay, show me where the front door is. Let's start there. And it's really fun to be with these kids for a couple of years as we're building their home.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, Kelly, Miss Kelly, remember my name is right there on the floor when I walk in. And I think about that. So, I think I'm so passionate about what I do because I really love it. I mean, you're going to have things that you don't like day to day, but at the heart of this, I love what I do. And I love the idea of creating a home.
And I think that shows that you do love what you do. And even though you feel like you have you're looking at it of non-competitive side, but more of like nurturing people, liking people. And I think it goes into any business. Yeah. If you started for money, I was actually talking to my friend yesterday. If you start a business for money, eventually you burn out because only for money. But if you're doing it out of passion, like our blog, Mom's Dish, we started it in 2011. We didn't monetize it until 2019.
Wow.
And it was never a plan to monetize it. It was simply because I wanted to show other moms that you can cook. And it's easy to cook, and anybody can do this. Like, that's what my plan was. And I was never planning to monetize the whole thing until I realized you have to monetize it in order to be good at it. Otherwise I'm stretched too thin.
I guess that shows that you love what you do, right?
Yeah.
But sometimes you do need to take some time off for yourself.
I think everybody does, right? Like, I think, as a parent, you love your kids, but there's times you need a break from your kids, right? You love your spouse, but there's times you just need alone time. I think it's like that with anything. It's balance.
Reset a little. Yeah, that's true.
But it's interesting as you're talking about, and thank you for the kind things you said, but total imposter syndrome, right? I'm sitting here, I'm like, oh.
No, you're badass. And I think all of us can feel smaller in a room sometimes. I feel like that often, because people in my industry, there's some incredible people, and you look at them and you're like, you'll never be there. But do I need to be there?
Right.
Is that my passion? Is that important to me? Do I need to sell my plates in Barnes and Noble? No, not Barnes and Noble plates, don't sell Crate and Barrel. This is where English comes in. Do I need that? No, that's not my passion. It's not what I'm passionate about. But the person next door is doing it, and I'm like, well, I'm not good enough because I don't have this. No, I'm good enough with what I do, and that's enough. Do it. I think we should focus on our goals. And I actually asked you yesterday. No, this morning I asked you. So remind me, why are we doing this podcast?
And I said, because we love it. And that's why we did it, is because it brings us together.
Yeah.
And we can travel together. We love doing that. And we get to meet great people together.
And sometimes it's good to sit down and be like, remind me why we're doing this.
I think that's super important. I think that's important to do with business, with your life.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of family meetings. Let's talk about what's important to us. I mean, and I think anybody can do that, right? You can be, and I hate the word stay-at-home mom because those people work harder than anybody I know. Right. But I think taking the time to sit down with everybody, what's our goal as a family? Let's write down what a goal is, right? Yeah. And get everybody involved and get everybody excited and working towards something together.
Yeah.
What advice would you give someone moving to Nashville?
Got a lot of advice, a lot of guidance. I don't like to give advice. Okay. I think the biggest thing, if you are looking at moving here, be open-minded. What I find, most people come here, they want land, they want to have goats, they want chickens, they want this idea of the Tennessee dream, right?
Yes.
And so we start looking at land, and then we start realizing what everyday life looks like on land if you have kids, and they have to go to school, and they have to go to baseball and dance. Yes. And we realize we have to change that dream a little bit. And it doesn't mean that dream is dead, it's just maybe put on hold for right now. Where can we get you so that you aren't spending 3 hours in the car every day driving in from Leapers Fork to Cool Springs, right?
Yeah.
So I think being open-minded is big.
That's true.
I think listening to people who live here and your agent is big, as opposed to friends back home who might be giving you stuff. People always ask, do I really need to work with a realtor? My answer is yes. I don't care if you work with me, but work with somebody that knows the area, that represents you, that has your best interest at heart, because we know a lot, right?
Yes. Yeah. Actually, can I share a bit? So for us, we did also have this impression of Nashville based on the internet and based on...
We did a lot of research too.
We did a lot of research, yes. And based upon our few first weeks that we spent in living in Airbnb, that's our little trial, that wasn't enough. Because the moment we sat down with that real estate agent and we drove around, exploring, it was different, everything what we didn't expect, and just different. And so we had to readjust. And even though like living amongst the cow farm that we are now, that wasn't part of the plan. I was planning to live in downtown and jog every morning. That is something that I love about Nashville. Like all the people jogging on the 12th and South or whatever. I'm like, oh, that's going to be me with a dog or something. I don't know. that did
And
not
now you're living
happen.
with cows and you don't have a dog.
On the
And
farm,
he doesn't
yeah.
even jog. He has a lot of trails, so he does not even jog.
Yeah.
You could jog here.
And I think that's it. And so many people think they need to come here and make a decision their first trip. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
usually with families. I mean, people come 4 or 5 times, and
Yeah.
generally the way that I like to work it is we talk before they get here, right? And we start looking at stuff so we can expectation set. Here's what you think, here's what you want to spend, and here's what you want. Now let's see if those align. If not, here's what you're going to need to spend to get what you want. And then we'll go out together for a while. I want you to drive around by yourself for a little bit too. Get a feel. Here's what it takes to drive from, Brentwood downtown, or here's what it would look like if we did this. I have some people in town. They're moving here for work, so they have to move, and they want to be in Bellevue because his job is in Bellevue. And so we spent, a couple of days looking at here's what keeps you within 15 minutes of work.
Right.
And then I took them out to Fairview, which is about a 25-minute drive.
I see.
And all of a sudden they saw what their money could buy them in Fairview.
Yeah.
And they had a complete revelation, right? So they were here, this is where we want to live. And then we went here and they're like, oh.
It's just 10
So
minutes
we're
longer,
still,
but
but it's, again, it gets back to being in the car. Are you okay with that?
Yeah.
To, what's important to your quality of life? And I think that's a question that's different for everybody, right? I can't answer that for you.
yeah.
What's important?
Yeah. What should people look for in a good real estate agent?
I would look for someone who, one, knows what they're doing, two, does it full time. This is a full-time job.
This is a good point. Full time, yes.
There's a lot of people that do it part-time. And I'm not, there's some really great part-time
A side
agents.
gig.
But this is, I live, breathe, sleep, eat.
Yeah. You're more
real
knowledgeable when
estate.
you're full-time.
Yeah. I spend time doing all the hard work so you don't have to, right? You want to find somebody who's in touch with builders, who's in touch with, parents. I don't think if you're a mom and you have young kids, I don't think your realtor has to be a mom, right? Because anybody who's good has those resources for you. I think, one, it's knowing what kind of person you are. Like, I am a very feely person. Like, what does a neighborhood feel like? How does the house feel? I'm a little woo-woo.
That's good.
I have clients who are like, engineers or lawyers who are very finance driven, and I can work with them, and then I try to loosen them up. How do you feel in this? He's like, what's my monthly payment? But I think it's finding somebody that you click with, right? I think, to me, that's one of the most important things. How do you relate? Do you have fun talking to them? Do they get back to you? That's a really big thing, and I would encourage anybody to talk to several. Right.
Agents.
Don't work with several at the same time. That's no bueno. But talking with someone, seeing who's a good fit.
Some of the questions I usually like to ask is, are there any upcoming neighborhoods or any plans? Usually people that are more involved, real estate agents more involved, they would know what's coming up.
What's up.
Or what street is the next street to get developed. And that's when I'm like, okay, that person spends enough time. They love their job.
Well, and there's things like, I'll have people that are looking at condos downtown. I know enough about condos that I can help you, but I'm also not afraid to refer you to an agent friend who lives, breathes, and sleeps, condos in downtown Nashville. Because they know stuff that isn't on the market, right? So
that's true. There's a lot of that.
So much of my business is off market, and it's because of relationships and things like that. So, find a realtor who's really connected in the community you want to be in. If you want to go into new construction, work with an agent who truly understands it and who's going to be there. Can
I mention one story?
Yeah.
Many years ago, we were with our friends, not many, like 3 years ago, with our friends looking at neighborhoods. And one of the neighborhoods, which was the norm, had about 200 people in line, all like waiting for the homes to be built. Like 200 people that had unfulfilled, homes. They were not going to get homes. And then we called a real estate agent. He said, no problem, I'll get you at the front of the line. And I don't know how that's possible, but I think
There's connections.
There's definitely
There's
a
connections.
lot of benefits to having a real estate agent.
Or you
Yeah.
know, homes about that are not on the market yet too. So it gives you first dibs.
Yep. Again, it's a relationship business.
Yeah.
And good agents talk, good agents know what's coming. I mean, I have done things before where I've had people who've wanted to live in a certain neighborhood, and I've literally just started calling people, hey, and then it gets fun, right? Because you find somebody who has a house, and I'm like, would you be interested in selling your house? Because I have the perfect house for you to look at. And then you just start moving things around. And that's when this is fun.
You sold some houses like that. I actually
I've
know
sold
of a
quite a
story.
few that way.
You knock on the doors and you're like, okay, I'm going to ask some rapid fire questions because they're always fun. Tell me the story of most challenging client experience.
No names.
Spice it up.
Most challenging client, I'm going to take a couple and morph them into one. Most challenging is somebody that I worked with for about 3 years.
Okay.
And like they communicated very well. Like I got texts from them multiple times a day, right? And they
Communicated really well.
They
They're bugging you.
fine line, right? But we went from wanting land to, a family compound to, and we, over the 3 years, we narrowed things down to a neighborhood. We found a neighborhood, and you could not find a house or a lot in there. And I found a woman who was moving out of her house into assisted living and got a lead on the house, basically negotiated the deal like in the dark of night and said, here guys, we have the lot for you. Got it under contract. Everybody was happy, found them a builder. The cost came back and I'm like, you sure guys, this doesn't feel right? And they're like, no, this is what he said. And I said, I respectfully, I disagree that this is where it's at. So after 3.5 years, they wrote me out of the new build contract. And it was a huge...
They did not use you as an agent.
Yeah. And
Dang.
a couple of years later, they still don't have a house. So
Wow.
yeah, that one
rude.
stung a little bit.
That's rude.
Yeah. One of my best fun stories just happened.
Yeah,
We have a client from who moved here from California, and he's been looking for a house. And literally, there was one weekend we drove about 800 miles, like looking everywhere from Chapel Hill to Lebanon to Bon Aqua, and we were under contract on a house. Inspection came back, and there was mold and asbestos, and not asbestos, mold and just other stuff wrong with the house, right? Backed out of that like a week before closing because we just couldn't come to terms. And then he found the perfect house, he and his wife.
Aww.
It was a multiple offer situation. We had a loan. We had to do an appraisal.
Right.
But the owners had a cat named Jinx.
Okay.
And they were really worried about taking Jinx with them because they were afraid Jinx would run away and run back to the farm. So we wrote Jinx into the contract and we said, listen, we'll take the house, but we'll take Jinx and we'll give them a home and everything else. And that won us the contract over a full price cash offer with no contingencies.
Just because of the cat.
Jinx the cat.
Wow.
That's amazing. That's a cool
I know.
story.
That was fun.
Jinx
That is cool.
got to stay.
Yeah.
You look out for the animals anymore.
Yeah.
I love that.
That is cool. That's
Well, I was going to ask you favorite client stories. Was this it?
That was a really fun deal. I think my favorite clients are most of my clients, right? Because they aren't clients; they're friends.
Yeah.
And I have been so grateful for all. I've never had a friend group like this, right? But these are all people that I work with, and everybody I work with, I want to stay in touch with. So I think favorite clients are most, but I think favorite ones are the ones that are really scared coming here, and then to see them succeed. And have friends and really fit in and say, this is the best thing we ever did.
Thriving, yeah.
That's cool.
Do people move back?
From where they came from?
From Nashville? What's the percentage of people that move out? This was not a question, but I'm curious.
I think less than 1% right now. I've had a couple. I had one family that I don't think they gave themselves enough time here. They moved to Nashville. I think they thought they would assimilate way faster, and it was a harder transition for them than they thought. They gave themselves 6 months and moved home.
Oh, that's too soon.
And it's not enough time. You need to give
have
yourself
to give at least a year.
a year to 18 months, I always say.
After a year, it gets easier.
Yep. And then some people have had to move back for work because they moved here and they were remote, and they now have to go back to where they're from. And that's always sad. Yeah. But we sell their house, and they usually make a pretty good profit, and everybody's happy. So.
Yeah. I like your style, by the way. So what's your retail therapy? Where do you shop?
We like to shop when we travel.
Oh, okay.
So when we travel, we usually spend some time. I know, like you guys do.
You pick up unique
This
stuff.
is from Prada.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
So
It's beautiful.
we like to hit Prada. We like to hit Cartier quite a bit when we're in other cities. In terms of shopping here in town, I'm not a big shopper. I don't love it. There is a store in Kohler, Wisconsin, where my folks live, called Sweet Potatoes. And I go there a couple times a year. They've got clothes all laid out for me, and I'll do shopping for spring and fall. And I'm set. We go to Nordstrom's sometime with a personal shopper. And guys, you don't have to pay for a personal shopper. They just pull things that you need, everywhere from shoes to underwear to pants to tops, and you try it all on, and you're done.
Wow. That's amazing. I had never done that.
Yeah.
That sounds a
And
little
otherwise, I'm in Vuori all the time. Like, I wear Vuori sweatpants most of the time.
We have not tried it, so we just got a gift card for it. We need to try it.
Really? Okay.
Better than
Life-
Lululemon?
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Well, it's different, right? It's so buttery soft, and especially as much as you guys travel, it's so soft, and you
I
just
need to travel out.
Yeah.
okay, we need to go get that.
Yeah.
There.
Good to know.
What's your guilty pleasure, the way you treat yourself? Cartier?
yeah. We just bought this when we were in Boston.
I've been looking at it.
That's. I like rewarding us for something. We just sold our house. It was a really big deal.
You did that?
Yeah.
Oh,
we
You
did.
didn't know?
I didn't know that you sold it
We
already.
did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Off market again.
Yeah.
Somebody who.
It's so beautiful.
So that's what this was. It was
that's cool.
a present to remember that. Guilty pleasure. Love the spa.
Where do you go to spa in Nashville?
We'll go to South Hall. We'll go to Four Seasons. The Joseph has a really nice spa.
Oh, okay.
We'll travel to go to the spa also.
Do you
like
have a
when-
favorite person at South Hall?
I don't.
I have a favorite person. I'll
All
play the
right.
name.
Yeah, so I,
We're not giving it out on the podcast because everybody will start requesting this person, but I love her.
So I think like I treat myself with some alone time, right? And even just floating in my pool in the backyard.
Yeah.
That's a treat because I don't get to do it very
Your
often.
pool is gorgeous.
It's beautiful.
Well,
We're
it's
going to miss
sold
it.
now.
I know. It's
Well,
not.
we gotta
It's
stay
actually
there.
we're staying till the end of October, but we closed down the house last week, so we are renters in our house.
That's such the best deal ever.
It was the best deal ever. They came. I showed them around the house, and I went and sat outside, and I walked in. He's like, "Full price cash. You can stay as long as you want." I'm like, "Okay then."
When you see
That's amazing.
a lot of homes are built to look good. Your house was built to live in and
Yeah.
enjoy everything and stay there forever. So I think
That was the
they
best
know what
compliment you
they're-
could give me. Thank you.
No, but I am serious
It
because
is
you put
beautiful.
so much effort into every single.
And the garden, oh my
Part.
Lord.
Oh, you should
Yeah.
see our garden. You know what? I need to bring you guys some stuff because the garden went bananas this weekend.
Really?
and-
I want to come see your garden.
Please do.
Oh, I want to come. Like, I'll be jealous. I have a tiny garden bed in the mud.
We're
We're actually
considering
drawing our plan right now, so we're putting in 4 garden beds, and that should be plenty for me.
Ours is too much, right?
Yeah.
We've got so much,
But it's
it's been.
beautiful.
You talk about how I reward myself. Like I go out to the garden, even if I don't pick anything. Just being out there
Yeah.
is so peaceful,
Yeah.
and the garden's awesome in the morning, but it's awesome at night. You guys have inspired me to do a dinner out there. I want to just put a long table and not be fussy or fancy
she's
about
doing.
it, but just.
Yeah.
I can come help you set it up. I was telling just like I want to host people's parties because not because I want to get paid for it. I just want to spend somebody else's money and make it all beautiful. Okay.
I'm all about that.
So I can help you set it up. I was like, I put all these basil plants. Like, I mean, we have them in the kitchen, but it just made me so happy.
The last
I was
couple
like
times, it's like all natural, all like wood
earthy,
and
but like for
clay.
garden, that's perfect.
Well, and one of the fun things that we do, and think about this, like, and it's, we have like a pizza garden where, because we've got the pizza oven
Yeah.
outside, so then you just walk there and you can pull oregano and tomatoes and basil and different toppings for the pizza.
Oh
so,
my gosh, that sounds perfect.
yeah. And
is
that's,
cool.
you know
We
what,
just-
that's something I really like to do to relax too. I'm definitely not a cook. I'm not a very good cook, but I do love making pizzas.
Yeah.
And I love just having people around our table outside, and we just make them and put them on the table and eat as we go.
That's cool.
That's what we did last weekend.
We had
made
fresh
pizzas.
basil. Are there? I'm just thinking on the topic. How many people that would you say that come here have other homes? Because I know a lot of people that live here. For example, in our neighborhood, they have homes in California, and they're actually they have offices there. Some of them have offices here. Some of them just have offices there. Some of them have multiple 2, 3 homes. Is it common?
It's becoming more common, and it surprises me the number of people that have more than one home. I think I'm also starting to work with people that are probably a little more in line with my age, and you see people hanging on to a home in Florida or California and purchasing a place here. I see a lot of people wanting to, their kids will come here, and I've got a ton of clients like that where the kids moved here first, and then the parents followed them. So how do we find a place for them that is maybe a part-time place?
I see.
And so they can still maintain a place back where they're from. I see a lot of people doing that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like our neighbor, apparently she has like 3 or more homes. We've actually never met her since living here for 2 years. So, I mean,
that house has been empty.
It is common here.
Yeah.
It's
And I think, again, you've got the tax benefits of having a house in Nashville.
Yeah.
So you'll have people live here half the year.
Yeah, that's true.
And then live someplace else.
Right.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Okay. Well, my last question is, where can people find you?
They can find me on Instagram at Home on a Nashville Hill. That's probably the best place to find me, or look up Sotheby's International Realty, and I'm listed there as well.
Okay, so Home on Nashville Hill, and Kelly responds to all the DMs.
I do.
That's where we chat a lot,
The
and
Instagram
she's
is
so engaged.
The Instagram is what you have to see. It's absolutely stunning.
Yeah.
If you want any ideas, if you want to see how people live here, or just at beautiful homes, that is the place to see. I will link it below in the description.
That's how we met on Instagram.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
It's been a while.
It has been.
And we always bug you about real estate questions.
I love it. That's why I'm here.
This is what's so cool is that a lot of questions we asked you, like you were not even our agent, and you just
That's
you
true.
helped
We
us
had an issue with the build of this house, and I reached out to you. Didn't even reach
just
out to our
ask.
agent.
And you treated us like a client when we had
I think
nothing
that's
out of
really
it.
smart, relationship building skill. Sure. Like it's you have treated everybody in an equal way, and it's amazing because eventually it's a full circle moment. If not us, we didn't have you as an agent back. Well, I don't even think we knew you back then, but we referred some friends and stuff like that. So it's just, I think it makes a full circle.
Comes back.
Yeah.
It comes
goes
down
around.
to doing the right thing, right?
Yeah.
When you treat people well, and
Yeah.
me sharing information doesn't take it away from me.
That's true.
Yeah.
It gives you more knowledge. So
Yeah, it definitely gave us a peace of mind. So thank you for coming.
thanks
This
for
was
having me.
fun.
This was so much fun.
It's great having you. Thank you.
It's a wrap.
That was fun,
Yeah,
guys.
it was.
This was super, super fun.
You're easy to talk to.
I like doing these. For me, it's something I really
Yeah.
enjoy.
You know how we found our agent was through a podcast.
Really?
Yeah,
It's
He
Nick,
did-
right?
Nick Woodward. I literally called so many agents. Nobody responded to me. I don't know why. It was weird. And so I was like, I'm gonna listen. I saw a girl move from California. I was following her, and I asked her who she used. She said Nick. And I went and tried to find information about him and listened to a podcast, and he was very family oriented. He's very big on family. He's very Southern. Family is everything. And I was like, I think we should talk to him. So he actually was our emergency contact for our boys in the school when we moved.
Oh, wow.